चलो क्वेटा पे आते हैं. And let's start with the master stroke, bro. That was to open with South Shaquille. Before you,
किसने बोला उसको टॉप ऑर्डर
वो
में खिला
I
देगा?
was gonna say
किसने
that. So
बोला?
respect कि पहली बात तुमने वो कहा. और secondly, एक और बात है कि आकिब जावेद ने क्या कहा था वर्ल्ड कप में कि इतने छोटे छोटे हाथ, इतने छोटे छोटे बाजू, इतना छोटा छोटा, ये कैसे करेगा पावर हिटिंग तुम्हारे लिए. वेल, आकिब जावेद साहब उसने आके आपके कप्तान को ऐसा पीटा है कि आपको समझ ही आ गया होगा कि छोटे छोटे हाथों के साथ क्या होता है.
That's mad funny. Yeah, he went crazy in the power play that day. I love it, man. I think he's like randomly become a contender for one of the backup opening positions, like in Pakistan's team as well. Maybe a little bit premature, but
I think
he's
बहुत हैं, but
clearly
yeah.
like the game. No, but I mean, again, if he's outperforming all the other guys who we had before him, then fuck it, bro. Like, why
But he's
shouldn't he be
not.
there? Who said he's not?
I'm saying he's not.
Who is he not
He's playing
outperforming?
really well. He's not outperforming the guys who are in the team right now.
He's playing better than Fucker. He's
Yeah.
playing better than Abdullah, who's contender. He's
Abdullah's not a
outperforming the hell
contender
out of
for
Muhammad
Abdullah's not a
Haris.
contender for T20.
Fine. Fucker is.
Yes.
Muhammad Haris is. He's
Sure.
outperforming both
Babar
of
and
them.
Saim and
I'm talking about the backup. I'm
Babar,
talking about the
Saim and
backup.
Rizwan are the top three.
Saim just. In the last two
Hmm.
innings, Saim had a really
Yeah.
good 80. Aside from that, Saud has outperformed him, bro.
Yeah, I mean consistently maybe, but
I have Saim ahead of him. I have Saim ahead of him right now. But Saud has outperformed all the other openers in the circuit right now, except for Usman Khan, maybe on Multan, who we're not gonna pick.
I think he's been really good. I don't know if you because outperformed he's pretty much had a similar. I know Rizwan hasn't been great in the last couple of games, but before that he
He's
had a
outperformed Rizwan too, by the
pretty
way.
good
Yeah.
start. Rizwan had a pretty good start. Babar's been tremendous. Saim Ayub, I think overall सही करा. सही मोहम्मद हारिस ने कुछ नहीं किया. उसके आगे है. And Fakhr Zaman hasn't done anything yet, but like with Fakhr Zaman, like we know what Fakhr Zaman is, right?
Yeah. I'm talking about the backup. I'm saying if at the end of the tournament he has outperformed Saim and all the other guys who are in that backup spot right now for us, then what we're not gonna put him in because his past strike rate wasn't up to
No,
what we
I'm not
thought,
saying
or
that at
like
all.
how are you keeping him out of the team at that point?
My point is that if you're not just judging by this PSL season, right? Sam has earned that spot over the past year or so as well. Like last PSL में भी उसने अच्छा किया है and उसने like दिखाया that he has enough. So just by this one sole PSL, you're not going to take Sam out of the team and put Saud Shakil in your team suddenly, right?
I'm saying with the World Cup so close, I'm looking at current form. I'm saying Saim is there for me. Saim could start for me. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if Saud outperforms him and he has that international exposure and he's an excellent player of spin, and he's closer to his own peak than Saim Ayub as with the hard yards and domestic and being mature as a batter at this point, and the only difference is the name and age, then I don't think that's fair either because he's playing all the same shots and he's playing with the same intent. If his strike rate and everything's the same, I don't know how you can leave him out. This is the first time he's been given an opportunity up the order.
No, I think he's playing.
I'm gonna reiterate, Saim is ahead of me for me right now. I'm just saying that like I'm not gonna shut the door on him being a contender in this.
And that's fair for you to say that. My point is more that I think he would have to significantly like मतलब उसने 100 मारना होगा, उसने मैचेस में 80 90 like दो तीन बार मारने होंगे to get ahead of those people, because I feel like Sam has done that last year. He's done even now in this year already, scored like a big knock. That's all I'm saying. I think he's been tremendous. I think that he'll have to do a lot to get into that side. Because उस हिसाब से तो I guess like even though like I would rather not have him in the side, but Sahibzada Fran has also been selected by Pakistan, is also doing well as well, right? So काफी नाम है in that hat for those spots was my point. Like just uski performance pe, like there's no doubt he's been excellent. Some of the shots he's played has been really good. He complements Jason Roy really well because touch player hai, innovation lata hai. And yeah, good for him. We talked about Salman and Yaga, but Saud Shakil's another one. Like take his game to another level. Like 6 months ago, we weren't sure whether he had the game to play in Pakistan's middle order in ODIs. And now he's opening in T20s and doing such a great job. So it's a fair play to him.
Fair play. And then let's talk about the team in general.
Yeah.
They've had a complete revamp, man. Like they look amongst the best teams right now, along with Multan, and their bowling looks almost second to none. Their batting, while they maybe don't have the most depth they have a lot of the guys who they do have
Yeah.
are pretty damn good, and then they've had a young player in Khwaja Nafe come and kind of emerge as a really special
Yeah.
future
Yeah,
prospect as
he
well.
looks like a good talent. Like he only had that one innings of note so far, but the freedom and the shots he
Hmm.
plays like bodes really, really well for them. So I think he's a really good pick. And was overall on keep planning, and the team morale and everything looks to be really, really good. Shane Watson's come in. I think they needed like some fresh perspectives. And I think he's probably given that to them. And to be fair, like draft me, they've done a pretty good job. I think we were probably more down on them than most people were in terms of our analysis pre-tournament because we felt like the lack of a sixth bowling option plus a longer tail could see them exposed in certain games, but that hasn't happened at all just yet, right? And let's be honest, like fine, sixth bowler may be needed in some games, but to be honest, like if they have specialists who are bowling really well and they do have five specialists, like they might not even need those one to two part timers that other teams need because their top five bowlers are not as good. And they're
Yeah, that's a really good point.
and they're backing those main bowlers, right? So even if they're under pressure, they're like these guys are good enough, so we'll continue to bowl them, and that's pretty admirable as well. Okay, like we
Yeah.
picked these guys for a reason. They're good enough. अगर अब्रार को पावर प्ले में bowling करानी है, अब्रार को पावर प्ले में bowling कराएंगे, and so on. अगर तीन spinners खिलाने हैं, तीन spinners खिलाएंगे क्योंकि these guys are good enough. Pick the best players to play each game, and then back your team. So again, they're putting the onus on the players to perform, and so far they've answered that call.
Yeah, I think the bowling point is spot on. Like they've been awesome, and maybe that's something I was a little bit too harsh on. I do think there is still a little bit of merit for what we were saying about the batting because we've seen them close to bottling a couple of games that they should have
Yeah,
won, and then when Multan put a par slightly above par total on against them, they completely capitulated in the face of that
yeah.
target, right? So I do think it's not in the Sambat game they got over the line with Muhammad Amir, but there were instances of
Yeah.
them almost fumbling the bag there and against Karachi in an absolute thriller as well, where Sherfain just showed his class as a finisher, right?
Yep.
Like getting them over the line with the Keel Hussain. But I do think that is still the weakness that you target with Quetta. You get early wickets and you get them 3-4
Yep.
down, and you make the guys lower down the order have to work for the runs at the end.
It's
Yeah.
so that happened in that Karachi game, and I think that issue could happen in a few more games. And they got away with the fact that Karachi's bowling lineup was not that strong, not taking anything away from Rutherford. Like he played a really, really sensible knock in that game, and so did Akilo Sen supporting him. But I guess they just have to hope that अगर ये मसला expose हो, तो it doesn't happen in a knockout game. Because if it does, that's when they'll really struggle because they have like Junior coming in at 8 in most games, and yeah, their tail won't really offer you anything of note, especially if you're chasing a big total or you're on one of those flat Rawalpindi pitches, which are gonna be seen in the coming games as PSL moves in that direction. Rawalpindi pitches this year might be a little different, who knows? But in the past, they've been known to be like completely flat, short boundaries. Dosa kam as kam banega. In those situations where you have to go gung ho and hard, like you're going to lose wickets along the way as well, and that's when they're going to be tested there. I think
I want to see what they do with their bowling in Pindi. Like they've been playing three
yeah,
spinners, which has been really cool. And I don't see it continuing in Pindi just because like उधर तुमने 200 भी तो कम होता है कभी कभार
yeah,
उधर, like it's one of those types of grounds. So I'll be interesting to see who they bring back in and which spinner
yeah. But
they drop.
overall, उनकी अगर bowling की बात करें, so like individually, if I look at each guy, like I think Abrar has been really impressive. He's like, we all had this thing कि like white ball में Abrar कर सकता है पाकिस्तान के लिए. I think what we're seeing is sort of reaffirming that opinion now कि like मतलब वो power play में bowling कर रहा है, mystery भी आ रही है, उसकी wicket taking ability है बीच में. He's really rising to the occasion in that sense now that he's finally getting back in the PSL. So I think that's really good. And from a Pakistan perspective, with the World Cup coming up, he's someone who's really put his hand up for me to get picked. I think it's probably between him and Osama Mir, which is a conversation we had a lot about in the build up to the One Day World Cup. But let's see how they go this time around. Or Akil Sen was another one who's really smart pickup. He's bowling really sensibly, and it's what we've spoken about. Ke left arm spinner hai. You spoke about with Ahmad Wasim ke he doesn't want to bowl to left-handers. Well, Akil Hussain just bowls simple seam up when he's bowling to the left-hander, so he takes it away from them as well. And he's got, I think Shan Masood ki wicket ली थी उसने. I think एक दो और left-handers को उसने out किया पहले. एक दो overs में. So I think that's something that is a really smart pickup. Or with the bat as well, he's showing a good job, which you spoke about in the build up as well. And I know you wanted to talk about Usman Tariq with that little pause.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody who's watched like Inside Edge, the cricket show, and somebody who watches cricket, like I'm always there, like okay, like there's no way this would ever be like a real action, or like this doesn't look remotely like professional cricket at all. Like these are clearly untrained actors who are just coming and rolling their arm over, and like Usman Tariq looks like he belongs in Inside Edge the way he bowls, like with the action and the pause. You're like, bro, he looks like Devinder from Inside Edge, but he's a sick bowler though, bro. He's got this like mystery about him, very unique, and people can't seem to really get a hold of him so far in these first
Yeah.
2 or 3 outings he's had. He had a good
Yeah.
Sindh Premier League as well. And it's cool to see that like the emergence of a few mystery spinners where we haven't had them for a few years.
अच्छा और you mentioned सिंध प्रीमियर लीग और आई थिंक जब शुरू हुई थी काफ़ी लाइक तनकीद का निशाना भी बनाया गया था कि लाइक यू नो फर्स्ट क्लास एंड to be fair like there was a valid reason for it because like the final of that was clashing with like the first class president trophy ka final and because of that it had to be moved and so on and it was like the whole like not giving respect to the first class game and all of that like in a lot of players have been found from that like players like you know like Usman Tariq you mentioned, but also like Kashmir Premier League as well. You found Zaman Khan from there,
Yeah.
like Khwaja Nafe, these sort of players who were getting the opportunity in those systems and then getting a chance to put their hand up for the PSL draft. So you know, I guess something's working there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I think एक
And
और point Quetta पे looking forward like we said that the batting could get exposed but one thing that hasn't happened yet is Rally Rousseau has not stepped up as batsman and he's one of the best players in the history of the PSL so it's ominous for the other teams that Quetta are so you know doing so well without relying on who you would say is their best player probably so yeah that's something
for
to
sure,
yeah
their best
exactly
player.
so that's something to watch out for because if Riley gets going मतलब बाकी bowlers की तो शामत ही आने वाली है यार.
Bro, they're that's the scary thing with them. Like you feel like there are a little bit of balance issues there. Riley hasn't quite been there. Safi hasn't shown anything yet from that wicket keeping position. And they're steamrolling everybody still, right? Like it is scary that if they begin to hit like anywhere near to their peak form, they're gonna be very tough to beat.
Yeah, 100%.